Good evening, everybody, and how are we all doing on this? Well, this rather wet Sunday evening, isn't it? It's weather certainly has changed. Back in the potting shed, as no doubt you can see, but I'm not on my own tonight. No, sitting on the guest seat, we have. That's not a very good shot of her. Roxy, lie down. Little Roxy's joined me. Hopefully, she's going to stand and stay throughout the entire show because she's been a little bit of a handful, to say the least. Anyway, let's what we're going to be doing today, we're going to grow some microgreens, sow and grow along. But first, or before that, I'll go through what I've been up to over this last week. Before that, let's see if we've got anybody actually watching, and I can see straight away, yes, we've got Philly SPB, hello Veg Grower Army. Hope everyone has a great week. Ballycillian Allotment has joined, and hello to all. Hope you are well. Turbo Stream, good evening Veg Army. Good evening to you. Oracle Ards Allotment, good evening to you. Excuse me, Richard Golding, good evening to you. Yes. Everyone remember to give us a like, please. Yep, please don't forget to like. Hargrave Gas, evening, everyone. I hope you've had a good week. Hello to you. Hi, Richard from Adrian. Hello to you. Beatrice, good evening to you. Anna Jones, good evening to you. Ian McGorgan, or McCragan, I think it's pronounced. Hello to you. Stuart Jackson, good evening to you. Who else have we got? Digwell is saying, hi, Roxy, where's Richard? I think she wants a cuddle, actually. Come here, then. There we go. We've got Judith. Hello to you. Hope you are well. Robert Brailsford, no rain in Somerset. Ain't you lucky? All we've had this weekend is rain. David Mosley, good evening. Sunny but cold here in Notts. Rebecca Hawkins, good evening, everyone. Just came in from a lovely day in the garden. Evening, everyone, from Ian Beddoes. I don't know if I said that. And my dad, good evening to you. So how are we all doing? How is everybody? So what have I been up to over this last week? Well, I've got to be honest. During the week, I've not been able to do very much at all. This little one has kept me up quite late at night, as well as the normal puppy behavior that you expect with a puppy. Work has been crazy, so didn't get much done actually during the week. And the how early the evenings are drawing in now as well, which doesn't fill me with much confidence at the moment, or doesn't leave much time in the evening. But yesterday it was very, very wet and windy, so I couldn't do anything outside. Instead, I came in here. I had another bit of a tidy up, which probably doesn't look like it on camera, and started just sort of sorting out my seeds and working out what we've got and what we need to get rid of and what we need to use up. Just seemed like the ideal chance to make the use of it. Now, earlier today, Roxy and I both went down to the allotment. Roxy's first visit to the allotment. Shouldn't have really taken her down there, but I got the feeling she needs to burn off a lot of her energy. So we took her down there. I kept her on her leash with me. And we were both clearing out the rhubarb beds, clearing all the weeds out. Even Roxy was getting her mouth in there and pulling out the grass by the loads to get rid of it. So that was basically what I've been up to over this last week. Hopefully you can hear me all okay. The phone line isn't for some reason isn't charging, so don't think we've got the phone line working. But if you want to zap yourself in instead, I'll pop the link up right now and you can come and appear on screen with myself. I'm not sure what's going on with that phone. So what have you been up to over this last week? Please do let me know in the comments. Amanda Joy has joined. Hello to you. I hope you are well. And Turbo Stream, we had rain all day yesterday and Thursday. Sunshine and showers today prevented a trip to the allotment. Yeah, it seems like rain has been playing a problem this weekend with the garden. But there's one thing I wanted to ask anybody else out there if they've had any problems, and that is, it's quite political actually. Has anybody had their sheds on the allotment or at home broken into by people looking for petrol? This has been a worry of mine. I tend, as you know, I've moved over more to battery-powered tools, but I still have a few petrol tools, but there are, I think it's safe to say, shortage of petrol. People are going crazy for petrol, and allotment sheds, garden sheds are probably easy pickings, especially as if they happen to have a can of petrol in there, which might make it all the more appealing. So has anybody had any problems with that? Oracle odds allotment. Weather been okay, but it's been very cold. My old age is feeling it. Gotta admit, it felt very cold today, actually. It was in my office earlier today and even had to put a jumper on or this coat on, which is very, very, very rare for me. I'm normally always in my t-shirt. So yeah, it certainly has dropped. The weather in Hampshire started out dry, then poured down, but now dry. So I've pulled out my runner beans and cut off the kale leaves that the caterpillars had attacked. I'm guessing it should be the rest of that. I've done very little gardening this week. I forgot all about the microgreens. Well, it happens. Not to worry, not to worry. Adrian, I know sheep are okay with rain, but mine being soft did not like the driving rain. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. The weather just, I don't like being out in this cold driving rain. So why would any other animal? And Roxy certainly doesn't. She's more of a house dog though. I have done no gardening from Stuart Jackson. At home all week, at home. But loads in the school garden, harvested potatoes and sweet corn. I'm quite surprised at that, Stuart, because I know you're a very, very passionate gardener. So I'm surprised you've done nothing at home. But I'm guessing being at school has made up for it. I know you're a bit like me. You have a greenhouse as well, so you can run inside and make the most of it. So what have we got here? Oracle odds allotment. In Northern Ireland, we learned from the 70s, you always keep a spare jerry can of fuel of petrol in case anything kicks off. Yeah, I don't think a jerry can would have cut the mustard this week. Certainly not with the amount of fuel I go through. Beatrice had a few days away in the rainy Lake District. How lovely. I'm very jealous of that. Today, been tackling the overgrown corner of my plot and discovered lots of buried, broken glass. So spent the day trying to get all the glass out. Is this an area that, have you just taken on an allotment, or was this an area that you never got to? Because that always annoys me, that people leave an allotment with broken glass, broken pottery, bits of metal just left lying around for somebody to hurt themselves on or do some damage on. I think it's a bit of a nasty thing to do, in all honesty, and people should treat the allotments with a bit more respect. I took out tomato plants after removing the remaining tomatoes. They are now ripening well in my conservatory. Yeah, that's a good tip. If you've got tomatoes that are still green and haven't ripened up, in a conservatory, in a sunny windowsill, will make all the difference and help ripen them up. Another thing you can do is hang some bananas near your tomatoes. The bananas emit a gas that encourages ripening, which is why you shouldn't really keep bananas in your fruit bowl, because it can lead them to spoil quicker. But if you pot them with your tomatoes, they should ripen a bit quicker. Been on the plot a year, just got to this bit. There is buried plastic there as well, from Beatrice, who said she's been tackling that difficult corner of her allotment. It is annoying, I think. It is annoying when people in the past have treated the allotment like a dumping ground. So, yeah, tricky. My microgreens have been sown at school under cover. Hopefully they will grow outside. At this time of year, they will grow outside. When we get into the cooler months, they probably need to come indoors. But microgreens are ready so quick that it's not going to be a problem at the moment. I've been making tomato chutney for my last few tomatoes. Oh, delicious. Please do share that recipe, Rebecca, and we might have to try and make it. Oh, that reminds me, I haven't made a video for this week, for a cooking video, purely because we had building work going on in my household and I had to take apart all my office stuff, including my video editing machine. I haven't rebuilt it yet. So apologies for that, but we will return back to that next week. Digwell saying ethylene gas. That's what bananas emit to help ripen tomatoes. And it does, or any fruit really, does really work. And Judith is saying, good tip. Thank you. You're welcome. The amount of broken glass I find in gardens is crazy. I think one potted in a molehill, but it did not work. I don't know. I like moles. There's no harm in moles at all. In fact, they're a good thing because they're helping aerate the soil. You're right. What have we got? On my single trip to the allotment this week, I cut up the UPVC edging to make a leaf mold bin halfway through it. Excellent. That's something we still haven't quite got our leaves down yet, so I can start with making or start collecting leaves. They're still a bit green at the moment, but it's nearly there, and then I will start collecting our leaf mold. So what we're going to be doing today is microgreens. Last week, Digwell Steve sent us a fantastic video about microgreens, and I thought there was going to be a good chance this week to go over a few microgreens because I think they're a fantastic thing to grow. You don't need a huge garden. You can do them on a windowsill. Sure, they're not going to fill you up, but they are going to give you something to eat, and I think they're fantastic for a garnish, a bit of salad, or in sandwiches. So I thought tonight we will sow a few live on the camera, and next week we can come back and see what we have. Now, what I did when I went through my seed boxes earlier, out of Moxie, I dug out some of my seeds that are specifically for microgreens. So let's bring this overhead camera down. So first of all, this one is, as you can see, specifically for microgreens. It's probably the most expensive way to get seeds for it, and it's called Fenugreek, which is aromatic with a mild flavour and delicious in Indian-inspired recipes. The other name for it is methi. Then we got coriander. You can use ordinary coriander seeds if you have a lot of those left over. You don't have to buy them microgreens specifically. As I said last week, you've got seeds that are going out of date. That's a good way to use. And basil. Again, basil, just not ordinary herb basil. Don't need to use anything special. I think those microgreens I was given, the seed packets, I wouldn't have bought myself, but what I like to do is just use up seeds that have either been opened or going out of date to grow microgreens. I don't think you guys can see it. Let's see if I can get rid of. Oh, Rebecca Hawkins just shared the recipe. 250 grams of red onions, 500 grams tomatoes, 1 fresh chili, 75 ml red vinegar, 140 grams of brown sugar. Pot everything in a pot and simmer for 40 minutes or until jammy. How delicious is that? You can just see Roxy's head just here. She's not distracted at all. So let's quickly go through the comments and see what anybody else is saying. Moles make a mess of lawns. Yes, they do, but is that really a reason to get rid of them? Only reason I say is I've interviewed a guy a couple of years back now who catches moles for a living, and his entire attitude was you don't need to get rid of moles. They're good for the ground, they're good for the soil, and they don't really do any harm apart from leaving little molehills. And they're fascinating. Oracle odds allotments. It's not the dumping stuff. It's not the dumping stuff. It always happens. It's when the allotment grows out of control before someone gets it, and that's when the fun begins with the dumping. Absolutely right. Yeah, it does happen a bit like that, doesn't it? You let it out of control. Do you want your monkey? It gets out of control, and then people lead it to dumping. Stuart Jackson, I've been teaching my children about molehills and collecting them to mix with compost in our raised beds. It's actually a very good potting soil, the molehills. So if you do get molehills, dig up that soil. It's going to be weed-free, seed-free, really fine. It's going to be fantastic to use in the garden. What else have we got? Idaho Garden Girl. Hi, Richard and everyone in the chat. Hello to you. Hope you are well. And how's things over in sunny Idaho? Adrian, I was saying hello to Idaho Garden Girl. So let's sow some of these microgreens and see what we can do. So what I've got here, let's move some of this out of the way, is just my ordinary seed sowing compost, nothing special. I've mixed in some perlite. Don't have to do that. It's just something I like to do. This was watered last night. I keep my seed compost in the pot and I spray a bit of water into that every night, or most nights before I know I'm going to do some sowing. And we'll do the fenugreek first. We'll just scatter some of these over. Quite thickly, I think we're going to do. Like so. Let's try and spread them about a bit just to mix them up. Then what I like to do is take another one of my trays and just push it down. Just so then the seed is in good contact with the compost. But as you can see on the bottom, it's unfortunately left a few seeds behind. We'll just skip those into there. It's probably because this tray's got a bit damp by the looks of it, so it's not a surprise. So that's the fenugreek. I should put a label on it, shouldn't I? Where are my labels? So right here somewhere. That'll do. A big one, I think. And fenugreek. Excuse my handwriting, it's terrible. Put that up there. And next, we'll do the basil. So again, I'm going to try and level it out. Same sort of thing, seed sowing compost, bit of perlite. Don't have to use seed sowing compost. You can just put some tissue paper in the bottom, should you so wish. And again, scatter that all around. I'm going to do this whole packet just to use it up. Right. And again, the label. And basil. Can we go? So there we go. That's fenugreek and basil now sown as microgreens. We'll put those up on the shelf and we'll come back next week and see how they get on. What I've also got, I've got a few seeds that I went from my seed pot for to find out just what else we could use to grow some of these microgreens. Now, this is by no imagination a comprehensive list. There's probably lots more that we could sow. In fact, I know there's lots more that we could sow if you use your imagination enough. So first of all, I've already sown some things in the past. Let's try and do this without losing it. This is cress. Nice simple one. Cress, we've all I'm sure we've all eaten it. It's basically a microgreen, easy to grow. I mean, we grew it as kids, didn't we? I've got some. You can tell these are Wilco peas early onwards. I'm trying to be a bit careful because the package is open, and I know they will go everywhere if I turn them up the wrong way. You know, again, these are more. I should do it on the overhead camera, shouldn't I? That's better. We just throw those into the ground. These are more for pea shoots, which is just as delicious and very, very tasty. And finally, now this is one that I don't know if it's going to work. It's called Swiss Chard. Now this is a very, I love Swiss Chard. I grow it all the time. It's delicious. But will it work as a microgreen? I don't know. That's one that we're going to find out a bit later and try to see. Back up to here. So those are the ones that I'm going to be sowing a bit later on today. What have you guys got that you are sowing in terms of microgreens? And are you doing any today? So let's have a quick look at what people are saying. Ian McGorgan or Cragan, I can never pronounce your surname right, apologies. Moles eat the worms. One garden has moles that I've had to clear 25 hills before mowing the lawn, plus tread down the mole runs. They do eat the worms. That's very true. That's very true. But they also make the soil very good, and aerate it. It is fascinating. I know so much because of this guy I interviewed, and I learned so much about moles. I want to catch up with him again because he was really, really entertaining in his discussions. It's all right, girl. Idaho Garden Girl, all is well, working like crazy to get everything harvested. Weather is getting chillier, frost predicted for October the 12th. I've still got about a month to go before my first frost, so I'm doing quite well here. That's why I use foil. That's to do with the microgreens, if I remember. Excuse me, sorry. That's to do with the microgreens, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, I can't remember what you used the foil for, but I can't remember. Apologies. I've never tasted fenugreek. Well, you might know it as its other name of methi. It's an Indian salad or herb. It's really quite nice. I quite like it. I highly recommend if you can try it, do try it. Basil is nice in omelets. It certainly is, especially in the microgreen form. So yeah, we are lucky enough we don't have moles in Northern Ireland, and the way it's going, the hedgehog hasn't been seen knocking around in a year or two, which is worrying. I saw a hedgehog the other night, actually, as we were walking. Amanda and I went out for a walk a couple of weeks ago now, and we stopped because this little hedgehog eating a fat ball in someone's garden. I caught it on camera. It was fantastic to see. We used to have hedgehogs living in our garden, but I haven't seen them for a couple of years either now, which is getting a bit worrying. Hopefully they're still around. If not, I'm going to have to look at adopting some hedgehogs and get them back in the garden because they are fantastic in the garden. They eat slugs, they eat snails, and they're just so missed these days in many gardens. Amanda Joy, I haven't done any seed sowing in a while. I'm feeling inspired now. Well, there's plenty of seeds that we can still be sowing. These microgreens, I feel, are great at this time of year to get some fresh food. These can all, as you can see, they're not using up a huge amount of space. They can all grow on a windowsill if you've got a spare windowsill. Don't have to be in a shed or a greenhouse. A windowsill is perfectly adequate, and you can get some really nice meals out of it. I have lots of older arugula seeds that I should just try growing as a microgreens. I also have some older seeds called braising mix. That might be good. So I think, if I remember correctly, arugula is what we call rocket. If my memory serves me right, and they can definitely be used as microgreens. I'm not sure what the braising mix is, but give it a try. Give it a try. Let us know how you get on. Moles are angels compared to badgers. Yes, that reminds me. When I went down the allotment earlier today, I noticed that my sweet corn had been eaten by something. I was very annoyed because the sweet corn was one crop this year that we seem to be doing quite well from. And either birds or badgers have been eaten at my sweet corn, and slightly a bit annoyed about it. I tried sprouting mung beans once from Anna Jones. It was all going really well until I forgot about it for a few days and it all went mouldy, binned it. That's the trouble with these quick growing like microgreens, or I found some alfalfa sprouting beans as well. You've got to be on it. You've got to be on them every day, and you've got to harvest them on the day that they are needed. And like the mung beans, you got harvested them on the very day. Otherwise, you leave it too long, they go over, and it's very, very quick. But again, mung beans, great for Chinese cooking, stir fries and things. So well worth trying if you can get some of that. Foil on the tamper to stop the seeds sticking to it. Ah, yes, that makes sense. Yeah, I should have done that. I should have done that. I will remember that for next time. Ian McCorgan, I've just found some cress seeds, so I will sow some. Do you think it's too late to grow small round carrots for winter in pots if I put them in a greenhouse in the winter? You know what? I don't think it's too late, but you are cutting it fine, and it's going to be fingers crossed and hope that the Mother Nature works with you. Give it a try. You've got nothing to lose at the end of the day. You want something like the round Chantenay. I know September I've sown those in before and got reasonable results. Give it a try. Give it a try and let us know how you get on, Ian. I think you should be okay. I never thought of growing basil as a microgreens. Great idea. Yeah, basil is tasty, actually. Very good for that. Arugula equals rocket. That's what I thought. And Digwell, I was just checking what seeds I have for the grow along, and I spilled the lettuce all over the keyboard. Off to find a vacuum cleaner. Sorry. It happens though, doesn't it? It does happen. We've all spilled seeds all over the place from time to time. You know, I couldn't remember what was in the brazier mix. I looked it up. Mixture of mustard, kales, and tatsai. Yeah, then you can definitely use those as microgreens. So get sowing and share the photos of how they are doing. Fantastic. Phone line is now open if you want to call in. Number is running across the bottom of the screen if you do want to call in, or it's 07307 135 174. Sorry, Roxy, I've got to put you over here for a second with your just slightly too heavy. Here you go. Sorry, Roxy was hurting my legs slightly, sat on my lap. It's all right, girl. We're still here. We're not going anywhere. She's a bit docile today. I think I've knackered her, taking her down to the allotment. You're inspiring me to plant them, Richard. Then please go and plant them. It's got to be worth doing. Like I say, this is all about growing our own food all year round. And God knows we've had what with the fuel problems this week. Who knows what is around the corner? We could be relying on our homegrown food just to survive. I'm actually probably making it worse than it sounds and feeding into the fears and the stereotypes that's been going on. Years ago, we had a smaller greenhouse full of basil growing in grow bags. Yeah, basil grows great in a greenhouse with tomatoes. There's something about tomatoes in the bottom with basil, the smell in the greenhouse with those two growing just sounds absolutely fantastic. Just really is great. That's all I go. It's all right. She's nearly falling off the step. There you go. Try that. Do you want to have a look at her quickly and see what she's doing? Luxie, come here. Come here. There you go. There you go. Sorry, she's my little girl. Very, very, very close with her. I can't believe how much work she has taken this week to keep her going. So I'm going to sow a few more seeds as we talk. Keep your comments coming in. You can call in 07307 135 174. I'm not sure where the keyboard has gone to add the link now. If you want to zap yourself in, just scroll up through the comments and you should find them. I will send some pictures of our microgreens as soon as they come up. My broad beans are up from the last month's supporter seed. Should I put them outside now or wait until they are bigger? Start hardening them off. I'm looking at mine at the moment, and they are certainly in need that they're going to need to go out very, very soon. They are, I don't know, let's see if I can get this on camera for you guys. It's one of the advantages of having a free camera setup. I can hopefully do this. Zoom in and let's have a look how that looks. So that's my broad beans. You can see they're getting a bit leggy in here, leaning towards the light. So they're going to need to go in the greenhouse tomorrow morning, where they will hopefully get better light, and then we can start hardening them off. I think they're eventually going to go in my sweet corn bed, so they're going to come out pretty soon, in theory. Stay there. Going to come out the sweet corn's going to come out pretty soon, and those broad beans are going to go in. They're hardy as anything, so they should be okay. Just make sure they are hardened off. Oh, so cute. Yeah, she is very cute, aren't you? Have you dropped something? There you go. There you go. You're getting a lot of love, Roxy. Gorgeous. They're saying you're gorgeous. That's from Anna. Beatrice, are such a cool cutie. Love the name you've chosen for her. Yeah. She's very cute. Yeah, she is. When she's like that, she is actually incredibly cute. So when she goes into what we call staff mode, where she gets very bitey, which is normal behavior, but she takes it to another level. And she needs a lot of attention. She needs a lot of attention as well, this girl. It's all right. Emma Gorgon, I will try some small turnip seeds in pots too. Yeah, you can still sow turnips. They're actually being sent out in October's Supporters Club, a pack of turnips, which can be sown in October. Again, if you can get them in a greenhouse or undercover cloches, they will do a lot better. Oracle Arts, we'll get by the fuel problem. We have the seed problem rolling on to the 9th month now. This is obviously over in Northern Ireland. Yeah, we've been, for this last 2 weeks, we've obviously had this fuel problem, which, in my opinion, is being stoked by the media and people panic buying. All right, come here then if you want. Whereas over in Northern Ireland, they can't even buy seeds for 9 months. That is just, puts it all. There you go. Puts it all into perspective. How easy we've really got it here. Basil planted with tomatoes helps to deter many tomato pests. It certainly does do that as well, and it's there we go. It's another reason to grow basil and tomatoes together. It's something I try and do every year. Also, it just makes good sense. And they go well together in the kitchen, don't they, tomatoes and basil? I think that's often the case. Anything that goes well, the flavours complement each other well in the garden, in the kitchen, seems to grow very, very well together. Right. Adrian, we used to take a plastic chair into the greenhouse and enjoy the smell. Yeah, basil, tomatoes. You just cannot beat that smell. Tomatoes in a greenhouse It was always my reminder of my granddad, because his greenhouse, which I've inherited and is down on the allotment, used to smell like that all the time. And definitely I would sit in there and just, if I could bottle that smell, I reckon I could make millions. Digwell, microgreens, lettuce, fantastic, beetroot, herba stella, and some radish for the grow along. Picks next week. Yeah, anybody who's sowing microgreens tonight or for this sow along, please do send your picks in for next week, and we'll see how everything comes along. Andrew Noyce, hi everyone, just in from grape picking in Dalmatia. I hope I pronounced that right. Grape picking, that sounds like a lot of hard work. Here we go. She's just having a treat. What else have we got? Thank you so much for the suggestions. Yeah, there's so many things you can do with microgreens. Just worth it. I'm about to give up my TV license to do everything online. Yeah, we're about to give up our TV license as well, to be honest. We don't really watch TV anymore. No seeds. Is that Brexit? As that's crazy. It is for Northern Ireland. Yeah, it's Brexit led to this legislation because Northern Ireland borders a land border with the Republic of Ireland. There's a risk that seeds that aren't EU allowed may cross over into EU border. So they've made it, you would have to pay £125 for each consignment you send of seeds you send to Northern Ireland, which makes it incredibly expensive. And I think personally they dropped the ball completely on that one. Basil is great for homemade pesto. By the way, on the note of the seeds, I know a few people are asking me about being a member of the supporters club. I'm still trying to find a definite answer. It's still very, very woolly, but I am working on it. And then hopefully we can get some seeds out to you guys anyway. I might just try sending some over and see what happens. A lot of fuss in the media about E10 petrol being no good for garden machinery engines. Not much worse than E5 unless you have an open fuel tank. I've never actually thought about E10 being no good for garden machinery because I know they've recently changed petrol from E5 to E10. And yeah, that's a good point. Is it going to be worse for garden machinery, especially if you've got a really old lawnmower like some people have? Yeah, it does make you think. I mean, again, I'm moving more and more over onto battery-powered garden tools, as no doubt you know. My lawnmower is battery-powered, my strimmer's battery-powered, my chainsaw's battery-powered, my hedge trimmer's battery-powered. I think that's about everything. And since I've done it, I haven't looked back. I've got a job to do. As long as the battery's charged, and I've got 4 batteries now, there's always one on charge. I can go and do the job that I want to do without having to spend ages just trying to fire up a lawnmower or the engine, because it's just so much easier using battery. Sounds like hand delivering seeds to Northern Ireland would be cheaper. It probably would be cheaper to jump on a ferry over to Northern Ireland and deliver them than trying to send them by post. This is how ridiculous it is. Although I do wonder if that's trade via trade ships and stuff. Don't know. It's a minefield is all I'm going to say. Some seeds are very tiny and flat and might make it. Yeah, some packets might, but we've got to put on, we've got to fill out forms saying exactly what's on the in the packet. So I'm always very, very careful to be honest and not break the law, because I don't want to get into trouble, to be quite frank with you. It's not what I'm about. E10 is said to absorb more moisture from the air and cause corrosion because of the fuel just sitting there for weeks at a time. Yeah, it's hygroscopic as I understand it, but all petrol is hygroscopic. And that's that's why when you see people filling up drink bottles for petrol, which they should be doing anyway, it's going to cause more damage in the long run. Always, if you've got petrol, not in your car, but if you've got petrol and you need to keep it in a jerry can, make sure it's either a plastic, proper jerry can or a metal one, so it doesn't absorb in moisture and it doesn't eat through the plastic like a drink bottles can, or pop bottles. Petrol and that can eat through that plastic quite quickly. E10 is not good for the plastic in mower lines, etc. So I hear. Don't know on that. I don't know on that at all. But I know I've had to replace many plastic or rubber hose lines in my time because they always get eaten through. Oracle Ard's allotment. You're more than welcome anytime, Richard. You get a free plot tool too. Funnily enough, in a couple of weeks, I was going to be across the sea from you guys there in Belfast. When I was going to go visit my in-laws in Scotland, but now I don't think I'll be going. I'm going to be. Don't think this girl's ready to make the trip up to Scotland. So my wife will be going, but I'll be staying here. Oh yeah, Andrew Norris. It's not such hard work, and my father-in-law makes the most amazing wine, so it's a pleasure to pick them. I've got to admit, I don't drink alcohol at all, and I really don't like wine. But there's something very appealing about homemade wine from your own homegrown grapes. You right, girl? Yeah, see. I don't know if the microphone's picking her up when she's answering me back. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, not be encouraging you to be an outlaw. No, I know you didn't know. It's the difficulty of this stupid laws that go on and what have you. Now, I do understand in some cases that we don't want to send seeds to other countries because they can be invasive, they can be dangerous. And we all have heard the stories like Japanese knotweed and things like that was imported into our country. Morning Glory, is it Morning Glory? Yeah, one of those. Imported into this country and becomes a horrible weed because it's so invasive, and we don't want to encourage that. Considering buying a battery strimmer for the new plot. Highly recommend getting a battery strimmer. So much easier than petrol and lighter. But what I would advise is get a good one and get 2 batteries at least. And make sure they're pretty powerful batteries. I mean, strimmers are pretty good and can survive on the low-powered ones. The ones I use and I recommend are Ryobi 1 Plus, they call them. All the tools run on the same battery. So you buy a battery, you buy a tool, you buy another tool, the same battery uses the same tool, or the same battery can be used in multiple tools. That's my recommendation. They are on the priciest end of the market, but I highly recommend it. Digwell, I want carrot Yarra. Tried 4 North American companies and they all want $15 for certification to the UK. But Digwell, what I can, it's slightly a bit dodgy doing this, but if you can find a friend in America who can send you those carrots through the post, you probably won't need that £15 certification. Slightly dodgy because technically you're not meant to, but the way around it. And no more than 2 5-litre cans. I believe it's actually you can have up to 30 litres now. You can't fill more than 2 5-litre cans in one go at a petrol station, but you can keep up to 30 litres at home in an outdoor building. Didn't think we'd get into this petrol. I think it's time to start using cordless or electric mowers. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Since I've got my electric mower, okay, the only downside with my battery mower, the only downside is you do have to keep on top of the cutting of the grass. You do have to do it almost on a daily basis, a weekly basis, If it gets too long, it does struggle to control or to cut the grass if it gets too long. But I haven't looked back since moving over. I've said this time and time again. The only difference with E10 is that it has 10% ethanol instead of the 5% in E5. It absorbs more moisture, no difference in combustion. That's very, very true. Ethanol is a highly moisture absorbent product. I don't know why they've increased the amount of ethanol in it. I'm guessing it's to reduce emissions or make it burn better. But that's all they've done is just added more. They've diluted the petrol is probably a good way to say it. Well, I remember in the 60s and 70s, we could order seeds from the UK, no problem. Well, there you go. I never knew you could do that back then. It does make you wonder what's changed. So, well, I guess we've learned from our mistakes. I understand the invasive weeds from foreign countries. Yeah, this is, I mean, the thing is in the UK, in the Victorians particularly, pretty much imported every single type of plant they could. So if it was invasive, it'll be here by now. That's why I don't see what the trouble is here in the importing plant seeds into the UK, unless it is known to be invasive or dangerous or toxic or something like that. Then there might be issues, of course. Like-minded Richard, I've seen some coming. I've some coming from a friend in Canada. Yeah, I know I've had stuff sent from Canada before many times. Seeds, never had a problem getting them. I don't know if it's technically allowed, but it certainly is a move. What you told Digwell, we are hoping Stuart Jackson would send us our seeds. Yeah, we gotta figure something out. I'll have a chat with everyone and try and get you some seeds sent out. I probably shouldn't say anything on this, just in case it comes back. But obviously, we don't want to break any laws, or we don't want to get caught breaking laws. More importantly, now what else? I heard power is reduced with E10. Don't know. I don't know the ins and outs. Possibly. Ian McGorgan, I find on strimmers that the plastic blades don't last. So I use the ones with plastic lines. If you drew 2 holes in the line comes out of, you can use a thicker line. I personally always use the plastic lines. If I want the metal blade or the spinning metal blade, the brush cutter, which I think is a fantastic tool. I've still got a petrol one, but I haven't used it in years, so I haven't bothered buying a battery one yet. But when I first took on an allotment, the brush cutter was the godsend. What's that? Do you want that? I found cordless mowers and trimmers a lot lighter to carry. All mine are black and Decker. Yeah, a lot lighter to carry. They're a lot easier to store. They just work when you want them. I haven't had a problem where you spend. Well, in the past, I spent like half an hour just trying to start a lawnmower before I could even start mowing the lawn. Battery, I don't find that problem happens. And just pull it out and get on with the job, which is a godsend in my opinion. That's why I don't like petrol anymore. Mr. Dave Ford has joined. Lovely to see you. Cleared out and cleaned the greenhouse today. Veg patch now clear and resting for the winter. That's me done, apart from some winter lettuce until the spring. It's interesting, actually. I hear a lot of people who sort of say, like Dave here, they pop their beds up to bed for the winter. I don't. I like to try and grow everything, or as much as I can, throughout the winter as well. I'm a big fan, no doubt you know, of using green manures. And they'll grow in my allotment beds really happily. If there's empty, I will sow forage rye, Facilia, just so as it's doing something at least throughout the winter. I'm a big fan of green manures. I'm happy to help send friends seeds. There we go. We might be able to do something. I'll have a conversation with Stuart and everyone on email about this to see how we can get some to you guys. Well, good for you. I'm lagging behind. Yeah, I think Dave's very far ahead. Well, getting ahead of it, getting ahead, but clearing out. I know he does a lot of competition growing, so that's obviously why he's getting ahead. I must actually, Dave, I must come and visit your garden at some point. Idaho Garden Girl, when I don't clean out my beds, I say I'm trying to grow through the winter. It's better for nature that way as well, in my opinion. It's somewhere for nature and insects to live and stay. Should we have a look actually quickly at some photos that have been sent in? So this came in from Philly SPB. On that note of putting your beds away for the winter, as you can see, Philly has been doing that. He has some little radishes here that's just ready for harvesting and manuring another bed ready for winter. But he also gets visited by his pet robin, which you can just see underneath a leaf sitting on the pot. He's called it Mr. T. That was almost your name, Roxy. You were almost called Mr. T. Got overruled on that one. This came in from Jen, Jen's Allotment Garden. She's done a before and after. A busy day on the plot, she said, and she's been clearing a lot out and getting ahead of a lot of her garden stuff. It's looking fantastic. And this is a cauliflower she harvested. Now, I'm impressed with that cauliflower. That's a good looking collie. And also some thistle heads. Well, I assume it's thistle heads. Look stunning at this time of year. There's something about these things drying out which I just think look good, especially if you're into flower arranging. Now, Stuart Jackson, who is in the audience tonight, I know, he shared this picture of some of the beds he has at his school. Again, getting the cloches out ready to go. I've got those same cloches, inherited them from my garden. But as you can see, underneath those, he's sown some seeds. These look like they're some brassica, possibly radish or something, but they are sowing and growing underneath those cloches. I was right, radish, sparkling. And there they are underneath the cloche, getting protected for the winter ahead. And he also has gone on to share this little tip on recycling. So we've got some yogurt pots. What's he going to do with those? He's going to turn them into labels for our plants. Fantastic. Now, Ian Beddoes, as always, comes out with the humorous side of his personality. And he says here, shout out to all the early humans who died figuring out which plants were edible. And I think that's the last one. Yeah, that is the last one. And I saw in the comments on that, that was in the in the Facebook group. It started off a bit of a conversation with other people thanking other ancestors for finding out how coffee was possible and things like that. It's quite humorous. If you're not a member of the Veg Grower Podcast Facebook group, head over to Facebook and search for the Veg Grower Podcast to sign up and join. What have we got here? So your seeds for the school are in the post, Stuart. There you go, Stuart. Got some seeds coming. We call that thistlehead teasel. Yeah, I think we can call them teasel as well. They're pretty much the same sort of thing. You're right. Thistles, teasels, and there's another one that goes by the same name, which when I cleared out, I don't know if she's watching tonight, Julia, when I helped on Julia's kitchen garden, she had some of those thistles that were about 8 foot tall. They were huge and they were very, very difficult to get on top of and contemplate. But we got there and to make her bed. And then she got pregnant, and Joe came along, and the garden bed has gone to the side. Hopefully, we're going to get that back up and running. Anybody that knows Julia's Kitchen Garden from the Aboard Explorer will know what I'm talking about, hopefully. So, guys, over to you. Are you growing any other microgreens? Are you trying that? And are you putting your gardens or you putting your beds to bed for the winter? Are you closing them down? Are you packing them away and getting them ready? And if so, what are you doing? You can call in. The phone line is open, 07307 135 174. I want to say you can zap in, but for some reason the right-hand button on this mouse doesn't work, and I've lost the keyboard somewhere. And I know if I push the button that I've set up for it, it won't work because I've got the wrong address in there. Where is it? Anyway, what have we got? Heads up to the guys who decided to use coffee beans. They thought to pass through a cat's internals. There you go. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, I knew there was somebody who would know I was talking about. You know, the person who found a coffee bean and then found that if they dried it and roasted it and then processed it basically and drunk what we could get, we would get that delicious nectar going and create us some beautiful coffee. Some teasel are good in flower displays. Absolutely, they are. I think there's a lot of plants, especially at this time of year, as they are dying back, that I think look good in floral displays. I mean, I'm not much of a floral person, if I'm honest with you, but I do see the advantage, and those red teasels or old man's beard. In fact, when was my wedding? Oh, my wedding anniversary was a couple of weeks ago. So we had a lot of that sort of thing in our floral displays anyway. And apples was a key thing. Ian McGorgan, yes, doing Julia's veg patch would be good to see again. Yeah, I know she's got a lot on at the moment, so we'll see what we can do. Hit the wrong button there. Oracle odds. Maybe that's what happens to Sean after telling us what weeds to eat. He's not been on since. Maybe so. I think the reason Sean doesn't pop up anymore is because of that the troll that arrived. But hey ho, these things happen. People come and go. People get busy on a Sunday night. The main thing is you're here, and you are what matters. Oh. Ian Beddoes, not going outside this winter, so building a model railway for the grandkids. At least that's my excuse. That's interesting. That's it. Very interesting. But you've got to grow plants for the model railway to grow around. That's my way to clean that in. My 3 beds have been mulched while I do some revamping of the plot this winter. So you are mulching your empty beds and revamping your plot over this winter. What are you revamping on your plot? Let's find out a bit more about what people are going to be doing with their allotments or their vegetable gardens over these winter months. Obviously, I'm going to be growing a lot in mine: garlic, onions, broad bean, peas, microgreens. But I'm also going to be building 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 new beds on the allotment out of wood, just to balance things up and tidy things up. And I find beds work best for me on the allotment. So I'm going to be doing that. At home, I want to build a greenhouse on the outside of this shed. I say a greenhouse, it's more going to be like a grow house. And I want to build a new potting bench with a cold frame incorporated alongside the front as well. Somewhere I can keep all the pots. Somewhere where Roxy can also come and chill out with me. Isn't that right, girl? No beds to bed this winter again. Excuse me. All full of cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels, Calabrese, broccoli. Excuse me. Onions, shallots, leeks, and more. Absolutely, that is what I like to see. Unless you've got to build some beds, or you've got things going on in beds, then it's certainly worth just trying to grow as much as you can over the winter months. And make the most of it. I personally feel it's easier to grow over the winter. Things like cauliflowers, cabbages, I find do better growing over the winter. They don't tend to, they don't bolt as easily. They just grow. They need less work. There's less weeds, less watering, and that's why I always grow over the winter as well. Now I have a new phone. I should be able to do and send a video. We should be harvesting all the potatoes this week at school, then sowing broad beans and garlic in the next couple of weeks. Well, that reminds me. Next week, I want to do a episode on show us your allotment, show us your veg patches. So please do send videos in and photos of your entire allotment, your entire veg plot. I don't expect anything to be, BBC quality, just whatever you've got. I want to see it and I want to show it off to everybody else. So next week, show us your allotment, show us your veg patch, but I need a lot of videos and a lot of photos in order to do that. Hopefully my next video will explain. Intend to shoot it this week. I do have parsnips, Brussels sprouts, leeks, etc. growing still. Yeah, I look forward to that video. Do like all your videos you keep sending in. Ian Gorgon, I still have a cucumber grown and kale and broccoli and cabbage. Just picked my apples and made apple and blackberry crumble plus frozen some. Fantastic. Always like to freeze as much as we can as well. Haven't frozen as much as we normally do this year, but never mind. Giving us a chance to give our freezers a good defrost. Green manure and broad beans too. Yeah. I close my beds down. Anything I have tried to grow over winter goes well, then at the last turns to seed. The overwintering onions, there's no point as the other onions catch up on them. Well, here's my thing with overwintering onions. You will find, I grow them over the winter, but from about January, you can actually start harvesting them. They haven't reached full growth, but you can start harvesting them and using them from January onwards. They're small, but if you are out of your stocks of onions that you would keep in your stores, then these can just fill it up quite nicely or substitute it nicely. I'm so excited to be growing over winter. It's my first winter. Well, that's fantastic. I'm pleased to see you are growing over winter as well. And I know the seeds, I know Rebecca's a member of my Seed Supporters Club. She will be growing some of those over the winter. By the way, all the seed supporters, I've had it on good authority that our local post office has been slowed down quite drastically by the fuel shortage. Hopefully, some of you have got yours yet. If not, they will be there in the next few days. The crumble sounds yummy. It does sound very, very yummy. I am not that good, Richard. Sorry, only getting the hang of typing. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. No worries, Oracle. It'd be lovely to see your allotment if you can send a photo or video or some way. If you need any help, please do send me an email, richard@veggrowerpodcast.co.uk. But if you can't, don't worry. Don't worry. What have we got? Yeah, tomorrow's dinner. What's that? Oh, the cucumber and everything. Yeah. My freezer is full from French greens, broad beans, onions, and fruit also. Yeah. Yeah, we normally fill, we've got 3 freezers that we usually have up and running. And we usually fill those up. At the moment, we've only got one of the freezers is still turned off because it's been a bit of a bad year. And well, we used a lot of our freezer food up last year. We didn't. Sometimes we keep things for 2-3 years in the past. I've kept chilies in the freezer for 7 years, believe it or not, and they've still been just as good and edible. But I don't let any of my frozen food get any freezer burn. That's always the killer in the freezer. What's the time? 7:05. I need a bigger clock in here. So yeah, what else am I going to be doing over the winter? I'm definitely going to be growing onions from seed again, which I'm going to do on Boxing Day, because I did that last year, and I've done it in the past. Never had such as good results as when I've done my overwintering onions. I'm still doing my overwintering onions, but I found growing from seed, and I let them grow a lot longer than the overwintered ones. I got the best results I could imagine. So I'm definitely going to be doing that again and making the most of that. Adrian, my freezers are just full to the top. Lucky you. I will ask the grandkids if any of them could help, but they don't like to come in case they get a job. PlayStation rules now. Well, there you go. Encourage them by saying it's technology. You need help with technology and need them to show you. Richard, have you tried your pickled onions? As mine are delicious. I grew onions, not shallots. You know, when were we pickling them? I think it was last Saturday. Was Saturday before one? It was, yeah, the Saturday before is when we got Roxy. We were pickling our onions. They've had 2 weeks in the vinegar. I want to leave them a little bit longer, but I can't wait to try those because we do like our pickled onions. We've got big jarfuls just sitting there waiting to be cracked open. Very, very easy to actually grow pickled onions. I'm going to be trying again next year. The seed up for silver skin, a very good pickling onion. Solos, let them grow, and then harvest them when they are, well, when the tops die back. Skin and peel them, add some salt for 24 hours, give them a good wash off, place them in a jar and pour over some vinegar, and off you go. And delicious. It needs to be the correct vinegar. It needs to be pickling vinegar or non-condiment vinegar, and then add some spices. It really is nice and easy. And I tell you what, they're the best pickled onions you could ever try. I'll do a video if we get enough of a gap in the rain. Please do, Ian. That would be fantastic. Not so lucky because I need to use up freezer burn risk, etc., etc. But to avoid freezer burn, my tip is make sure you cover anything. Freezer burn occurs when oxygen is against the freezer. So everything gets wrapped in chicken foil, so there's absolutely no air around the thing that you are freezing. Well, the other thing, I like to vacuum seal our stuff, and then we'll put that in the freezer, and that also means you don't get freezer burned. Evening, Richard from Ernie. Lovely to see you. Once you've picked the fresh chilies, can you freeze them straight away? Pick and wash them. What I do is when I freeze them, I just wash them, then put them into a plastic container and put them in the freezer. As easy as that. Really don't do anything special to try and freeze them. Don't blanch them or anything. And they, like I say, they have lasted years like that. Up to, I think 7 years was my record before we finally ate them. Doesn't matter what type of chili it is either. Just throw them basically straight in the freezer, but make sure they go in a pot or something so they're not in contact with the ice. I had to chop my onions and freeze them. They started to go moldy. What is a good variety to grow for storing? I'm trying to think of the one. Troy is the variety I can think of that is very good for storage. And I see if anybody else has any ideas. Anybody else has any ideas of a good onion variety for storing? First time I have picked mine, and we'll do it again. What was that? The cucumber, was it? I'm not sure. It sounds good, but people say to add bay leaves. Yeah, you can add bay leaves, add chilies. This is to the vinegar for pickling onion. Bay leaves, chili, pepper, herbs. It just imparts a bit of flavour to the vinegar, and therefore onto the pickled onions. Vacuum sealed to stop freezer burn. Yeah. Vacuum sealing is the way. Is a really good way, and I find it works very well. Treble, that works anyway. When we do the chilies, we can't vacuum seal them, for example, because we use like Tupperware containers, and that's just so we can get one chili out instead of having to get all the chilies out. All my stuff is in freezer bags. What I recommend you do is try and seal them and get all the air out so you don't get freezer burn. If you can't find pickling vinegar, Sainsbury's sell a very good pickling spice mix, or the range as well. They do a huge tub. Somebody at the door sounded like. Somebody there. Yes, oh, hello.
You told me to come in.
Oh, yeah. She's been all right. Yes, Sainsbury's range do a huge tub of a pickling spice mix for pickling pickled onions. which involves chilies, peppercorns, stuff like that. Sainsbury's do a good one, but yeah.
Oh, I love pickled onions.
Hello, Amanda. Digwell, they're going to go mouldy before I decide to freeze them. They are fine now. They are frozen. I've missed.
What's that?
I've missed some. We're talking about freezing stuff, funny enough. And
I thought we were talking about pickled onions.
No. Did you blanch them? Blanching kills the enzymes that causes the rot. Oh, this is the onions. So they started. Turbo Stream's onions started to rot, so he chopped them up, the unrotted ones, and threw them in the freezer. He used Elisa Craig. They freeze well though. Yeah, Elisa Craig are a good onion, but they're not brilliant for storage. Adrian says hello to you as well.
Hello.
I add my pickling mix with chilies and things. Speaking of it, I need to make some. Maybe grow pickling onions next year. We should have a pickled onion competition for next year, shouldn't we? I don't know how we're going to judge it, how we're going to do it, but I think we should all make our own pickled onions, and then everyone judges them and sees who's the best.
I love a pickled onion.
If you freeze the chilies on a tray in a freezer and then bag them, they will not stick together, so you can use one or two at a time. Yeah, that is very true, but sometimes they do stick together if you've got a self-defrosting freezer, because it defrosts and then slightly, and then they stick back together. Yeah, she's just cuddling up again, but she's got her hand on my mouse hand.
Yeah, she does that.
Yeah.
Doesn't make
it
any easier.
Jen says hello.
Hey,
let's have a pickled onion grow along. We'll do a pickled onion grow along, and don't worry. And we'll make pickled jars and see how it goes. We will all send a Richard jar that he can judge them on a Sunday night. Yeah, that's.
I'm so up for that. I love a pickled onion.
Yeah. How many jars did we make the other day?
3 massive ones.
3 huge jars. I mean, yeah, what a great idea. Yeah, we're going to do that. Can you remember the pickled onion off next year?
I can't guarantee I'll remember it for next year.
A crunch off challenge. No, just so I can make a note of it later. Stuart says hi and told me to behave myself now. I always behave myself. I've got too many women in this house telling me what to do anyway. If it's not Amanda, it's the chickens, or it's Roxy.
Do you know, Roxy, you're down the bottom of the list?
Well, she's the youngest. I was doing it in age order. I think that the onions got too wet this year and got bottom end rot. Yes, we should send you a pickled onion taste off. I tell you what, I'll be impartial. We'll let Amanda do the judging if we do that.
Really want to go have some pickled onions now.
The ones I make are soup hot. I've never tried them because my friend has them all off me. I include whole chilies in mine. You're making me salivate at the thought of these really hot chili pickled onions.
Do you know all I can think of is, why do we not have any chili jam?
I haven't made any chili jam yet. That is on my list. I haven't had the time to make chili jam because that takes a good day's worth of work, isn't it? Can you freeze tomatoes? Made soup and froze that with the last batch. Yes, you can freeze tomatoes, but when you bring them out, or when you remove them from the freezer, if you're freezing whole tomatoes, that is, they once they defrost, they're very squashy. But if you make soup, tomato sauce, we've done whole tomatoes before, which we've then used in a pasta sauce. Pasta sauce is a good way to freeze tomatoes as well. You can freeze them, but if you want salad tomatoes, they're not good for that. That's how I would describe it. She's going to sleep on me now.
Fabulous.
Pickled onion Monster Munch was my favourite flavour.
That is the only flavour of Monster Munch.
Yeah.
I mean, it obviously isn't, but it is.
I made a batch called Satan's Shallots and Scotch Bonnet Chili in 2018. They still blow my head off. Oh, we had this chili sauce once we bought. If there's any children listening, I apologise for the word I'm going to use.
Well, I think you could just say what it begins with.
I was going to. And it was called Satan's tea. It was hot. It was hot, but it was so nice.
I think we've still got some.
We probably have. We've got so much chili sauce. Rebecca, just blitz the tomatoes. So you have chopped tomatoes. They freeze brilliantly. Yeah, that's something we've done as well. Not this year because we haven't had enough tomatoes, but we've chopped loads of tomatoes in the liquidizer, making our own chopped tomatoes, passata. She just farted on me. What else have we done? Pasta sauce, curry sauce. That's a good way to use up tomatoes as well. Lots of things you can do it with them. But actually, frozen tomato is also good if you are making a curry to add it to that to make the sauce as well. I froze some tomatoes. They will go in a stew at some point. Stew, that's a good use for them. You stink. Tomatoes are okay for freezing as long as you like soup or sauce, as this is the only thing they will be good for. Yeah, I think that's soup or sauce is the way to sum it up. But it's better than, it's going to be far better than anything you can buy from a supermarket. Remind me of your chili jam recipe. If I recall, you didn't use pectin. No, that's right. So I've got to remember because it's a lot. It's chili, peppers, tomatoes, sugar, ginger, vinegar, and I think that's it. All goes into
Cauldron.
Oh yeah, all gets liquidized and into our cauldron that we like a jam. Well, it's a jam making pan actually, but we call it a cauldron. You put that on the oven, bring it to a boil, and then simmer until it looks like hot bubbling lava, and then you know it's ready. It is delicious. It is delicious.
But no matter how much you make, there's
never enough. Never enough.
So good.
This pickled onions is starting to turn into a veggie grower bake-off. Yeah, we're gonna do that next year. We just got to figure out the semantics, how we can do it, but we will do a pickled onion or crunch off. I have a pasta machine, a total waste of time, just as good to buy. We got a pasta machine somewhere, haven't we?
Yeah, you bought that.
I bought that. Never used it. But she's coming over to you, I think. There you go. Stop feeding the dog chili beans. No, she's not eating chili beans. She's not eating anything like that. Although she was good on the allotment earlier today, actually, because she was, as I was pulling out the couch grass from around my rhubarb, she got her teeth in there and was pulling it out as well. So,
good girl.
So she's learning. And then, you know, you get rhubarb. As rhubarb dies back, you get those dried stalks. They're quite thick, they're quite dry, they're quite crunchy. She was getting her mouth around those and breaking those down for me, which was very useful, saved me a few jobs as well. So she's definitely a gardener dog. Digwell is saying, I've been doing more pressure canning of veg, including tomatoes this year. Very popular process method over the pond, but not so here. You know what? I've tried doing pressure canning. We've got a pressure cooker. I've tried pressure canning my veg. It worked, but I wasn't brave enough to try it, in all honesty. It's something I should really try again.
Preppers do that.
Yes, we know preppers do that, but canning. Something I really should do more. Mind you, where would we keep all our cans? We've got enough struggles. She wants a bunker. Thanks for the recipe. You're welcome. If you tap in chili jam recipe on, it's not my recipe, I'll be honest with you. Chili jam recipe in Google, and what was it? allotment.org.uk, I think I found a recipe from. That's the recipe I follow. So I don't think I've put it on my website because I probably have adapted it over the years, but it is delicious. It is absolutely delicious. If we ever have the get together, we could have the bake off then. Oh yes, there we go. That's the bit of entertainment.
I've already thought about that.
Yeah, that could be the ideal time to do this. In yes, that that would mean we would have to do it around this time of year. So there we go. We'll have to find. We've got to find somewhere we can do this, and that's all we're waiting on. You won't need your shredder now. You have Roxy. True. The only thing I think a pressure is good for is to get meat off bones. It is very good for that, actually. Yeah, it does cook meat very, very tender. We also, what did we do with it? Dal, tucker dal. Very good at that. Very, very good at that. Yeah. Here we go. We're going into the cooking side of things, which is good because I do enjoy cooking. What else do we use our pressure cooker for? It's good for cooking rice. I know rice is quite easy, but everything is there to make our life easier. Oh, that was Amanda, not the dog there. I don't know if you heard that. Yeah. Anyway, right, we have got about 8 minutes to go. The phone line is open, 07307 135 174. And can I find my... I can just about get to the keyboard now. There we go. Control V. If you want to zap yourself in quickly, the link is going up in the comments right now. So we got our microgreens sown, and I'll be sowing a few more in just a moment. And what we'll do next week, we'll have a look at them, see what's germinated, what is ready, and harvest what we have, and I'll give them a taste test live on this show if they are ready next week. Digwell, UK pressure cookers are not recommended for canning. That depends. I've got an electric pressure canner, and that actually has a function for canning. So you can actually get pressure cookers in the UK for canning. Just got to read the...
it's not a stove one.
It's not a stovetop one. No, it's an electric one. We did have a stovetop one once, but it broke.
Yeah.
I pressure can salmon, beef, chicken, and low acid vegetables. Idaho Garden Girl might be the person who can teach us all about how to can our vegetables and food then. A neighbour got rid of her pressure cooker as they were afraid of it.
We had that conversation, didn't we?
Yeah. I've just made a rocket stove out of concrete so I can cook in my field. I used to have one on my old allotment, actually. They were very good, but we're not allowed to burn anything on our current allotment. Oh, I totally forgot from Jen's Allotment and Garden. I managed to get my hands on some heritage runner beans. They arrived this week. I got some straw flower seeds as well. Wow, there we go. We were having that conversation last week about trying to find these Welsh heritage runner beans. So, yeah. Pressure canning is a big deal among some people. I know it's pretty much a way of life in Canada, from what I hear. In Canada? America. Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I think she might find out she's coming over.
Are you coming over?
Yes, she is.
She's coming back. 2 types of canning, hot water canning and pressure canning. Yeah, ours is, you have to put hot water in the bottom, but it is a pressure canner as well. It does do pressure canning. Well, it's got a setting for it anyway, so it says it's good. Right, Idaho and Digwell are having a conversation about this. So we'll look forward to seeing the results from the pressure canning. Right, we're going to start wrapping up because I need to take Roxy out for her evening walk. Hopefully then she'll tire herself out and we can go to sleep tonight and get a full night's sleep. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? Be nice. But as always, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast this week. We've still got 5 minutes to go, so there's still time, but I'm just going to start winding it down. On the podcast this week, I've got a list of seeds that we can sow throughout October and tasks that we can be doing throughout October as well. As Rebecca has just said, any ideas for next week's show, Richard? Yes, as I said earlier, what I want to do is show me your allotment or your vegetable garden in the autumn for next week. So please do send videos, send pictures over that we can display next week and have a look at everyone's allotments, everyone's gardens, see how autumn is affecting everybody differently, and see what's different, and see what we can all nick from other people's ideas. I'll put it like that. That sounds a good idea, doesn't it? And oh yeah, I forgot to say, normally I've been putting a proper video out on YouTube and Facebook lately. I did do one last week because this girl took up a lot of time and we had building work going on, so we haven't had much time, but there will be one this week because it is almost finished and shot. Great chat, you're welcome. Tata, I'll see you next week. Wanted to get in first. Yeah. You're just slightly too late by the looks of it. Oh, brilliant. Just remind me how I send you a video. Right, send me a video. Easiest way to do it is go to a website called wetransfer.com. It'll ask you for my email address, which is simply richard@theveggrowerpodcast.co.uk. That's richard@theveggrowerpodcast.co.uk. You have to enter your email address and upload your video to that website. When it's uploaded to there, it'll send me a video and I'll just download your video file or any of your files from there down onto my computer, and then I can use it. It's the easiest way of sending large files, because most emails only let you send files up to 1 gigabyte. So wetransfer.com is the easiest way for videos. Show us your plots, peoples. Yeah, show us your plots, peoples. That's what it's going to be called. Thank you. We'll definitely get some microgreens growing this week and try and get some pictures of the plot. Thank you. Yeah, please do, Beatrice. Lovely to see your plots. Lovely to see your microgreens, and I'm looking forward to eating some of these microgreens, I've got to say. Thank you, Richard. Another great live stream. I got loads of great ideas and inspiration. You are welcome. That's the idea. This is why we all chat and share our ideas. Jen's allotment and gardens. Don't forget to film it in landscape. I prefer it in landscape, but if you do it in portrait, I can work with it. But I do prefer it in landscape. It does look better, unless we're on Instagram. Then it would need to be in landscape. Portrait. Sorry. Right. Let's wrap up. Everyone is saying goodbye. Digwell saying he's looking forward to seeing the plots next week. So we can't let Digwell down. We've got to make sure we can all see everyone's plots. So let's make Digwell happy. Right, guys, I'm going to wrap up. All right, so thank you so much again for joining me on this Sunday evening. We will be back next week, as we say. Show us your plots. May not have Roxy with me next week. We'll see how it goes. She's a bit of a distraction, but actually she hasn't been too bad.
Don't say that.
She's my little girl. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.